Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the last speaker for the Green Party in this Parliament, I begin by again placing on record the gratitude of the entire Green Party caucus to all of those many workers around Parliament who enable us to do our work, and also to the Green parliamentary and party team of both staff and volunteers. We appreciate you all very, very much. I extend our best wishes to those from the House who will be leaving Parliament at this election, both those who do so willingly at the end of their service, especially acknowledging my fantastic colleague Holly Walker, but also acknowledging that there are others around the House who will not be back to join us despite their intentions and hopes. Indeed. I do my best to find common ground with others across the House and across party lines. I think that doing so is an essential part of politics. In fact, it's the art of the possible. It's also a fundamental green value, and at this point I want to particularly highlight one of the achievements of this Parliament, and that was around marriage equality. We were proud to be part of a coalition of members across the House, from parties both within the House and outside the House and with communities. And that was, I believe, a great model of how we can go about making positive change that will make a big difference for many people's lives. But vigorous contest between beliefs and values where they impact in important ways on people's lives is also another part of politics. I've just recently wrapped up a national speaking tour on the big issues in health. The last slide in that presentation that I put up for audiences has 5 points. Healthcare should be a fundamental right for all New Zealanders. There should be no barriers to access, especially not financial ones. Services should be universally available, services should be preventive in focus, and services should be integrated. And I ask the audience if they can guess where that comes from, because while it sounds like a summary of Green Party policy, it's not something that I wrote. In fact, Mr. Speaker, just 2 people out of literally thousands on the speaking tour have guessed it right. Because, Mr. Speaker, those are the objectives of the New Zealand public health system that were established by the Savage government in the 1930s. When I tell audiences, there is usually a visible reaction of shock, and indeed, sir, I experience it myself. I feel a chill on my cheeks, the hairs on the back of my neck, if there were any. Those hairs stand on end. And I think that's because it's just so amazing that something from the 1930s should actually still feel so fresh and relevant almost 100 years later. And that's because we have had a succession of governments since at least 1984 who have seen the role of the state in a very different way. They've seen the role of the state as being to maximise GDP growth. And in that model, Mr. Speaker, people count either as the labour input to the firm or as consumers. The natural world counts as either raw materials for the firm or waste disposal. And Mr. Speaker, that idea of government has driven this country in entirely the wrong direction. I believe it also stands at the heart of why so many people feel alienated from the very process of government and have not been participating in voting. What we stand for and what Savage stood for was an entirely different idea of what government should be about. We believe that the state should be the embodiment of our collective responsibility to care for each other and to care for the natural world and to prepare the ground for those future generations. We believe that the point of the economy is to help us deliver our social and environmental goals, not the other way around. We have tried to work with this government where we could. We're proud of our formal relationships with them to insulate and heat cold, damp, unhealthy homes, to build a national network of great cycle trails, to document and clean up toxic sites, and to improve pest control through resetting traps. We put forward many other ideas on how we could work together on areas of common policy, and we were disappointed that they were all rejected by National. But we have also been proud, Mr. Speaker, of our resolute performance in leading opposition on the insidious and corrosive effects of child poverty and increasing inequality, the shocking deterioration of freshwater quality, privatisation of public assets, the imbalances of the New Zealand economy, freedom for West Papua, calling out the atrocities of Israel against the people of Gaza in recent days, irrational transport planning and funding decisions, ongoing cuts to health and education services, the cynical attacks on citizens' basic privacy rights through the GCSB bill and other legislation, the egregious money for policy Sky City deal, the sick culture of disentitlement at ACC, erosion of services for women who experience sexual violence, attacks on workers' rights. Sometimes we won. Back in the early days of the Green Party, our political opponents used to accuse us of being too idealistic. We don't hear that anymore. The public has noticed that we have successful co-leaders and a stable, united caucus. Our contributions are consistently principled, and we have proven ourselves to be ready for government with transformational ideas that are grounded in practicality, properly costed and affordable, and supported by key opinion leaders amongst those who would be affected by them. National's weapon of choice now is the false dichotomy along the lines of Fox News's you either support the war in Iraq or you oppose freedom, along with National's disdain for evidence and science. We have shown consistently that it is possible to create great jobs by creating a smarter, greener economy that works for everyone, while also restoring our environment, like cleaning up our rivers and protecting our beaches from oil spills, and delivering a fairer society where every child has enough to thrive. We don't have to sell off the family silver and accelerate the stupid economy based on extracting non-renewable resources. We can instead invest substantially in innovation, research and development, capitalise on new flexible technologies like 3D printing, ensure we have the internet access and speed necessary for weightless industry, provide capital for smart transition of our economy through a green bank, restructure the electricity industry to deliver cheaper, greener energy and incentives to increase solar. We don't have to further erode the law or the rights and incomes of workers and beneficiaries to increase big business profitability on the religious belief that this will somehow trickle down. We can instead provide affordable, secure and healthy housing for everyone who needs it through our Home for Life program, ensure that income support provides the most benefit to those with the greatest needs, and shift minimum incomes towards the living wage, properly fund the services that people need, provide free primary care up to the age of 18, and recognise and resource the role of schools at the heart of communities. We don't have to accept that environmental damage and extinctions are inevitable and that the pollution economy is the only way. We can instead ensure that every river and lake is safe to swim in and that our beaches are protected from dangerous deep-sea oil drilling. We can save the Maui's dolphin from extinction and enable it to thrive again. We can implement a climate action plan that will actually reduce emissions, delivering significant net tax savings for the average household or business. Yes, sir, we are still a party of ideals, but we are also a party of ideas that will take our country forward rather than into the Dickensian stagnation that National offers. Smarter, fairer, cleaner. Party vote Green, Mr. Speaker.
Grant Robertson.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to